So before we get to the warm-up video, I want to give a quick little video explaining the warm-up so that you kind of know what to look for. So let's go ahead and start. So the warm-up will start with just some step touching. Let's see. Can't really see my feet. So step touch is literally just step, touch, step, touch, step, touch. And what's meant by touch is really just, when I say touch, don't put your weight on that foot. Step means you're putting your weight on that foot. Touch means I could just touch here, the air. I don't have to touch the floor. But for balance, I will. Step, touch, step, touch, step, touch, step, touch. And for all of these first exercises, really try to remember to keep that pelvis in that nice neutral position by pulling in your lower abdominals, and try to remember to keep your ribs in by pulling in those upper abdominals. And you can also think about that soccer ball to football analogy that we talked about in the previous video. So go ahead and take the soccer ball in your waist, make it into a football by squeezing from all the sides, because that lends a lot of stability. Because we don't want to just squeeze from the front, because then we're missing all of these other muscles in our torso that can help stabilize us. And this is for purposes of stabilizing, not aesthetic. We're not pulling in to pull in, we're pulling in so that if I want to balance or turn, I can do so without falling over. That is the purpose. And then we're going to step, touch to the front, step, touch to the front. And I'm leaving a tiny bit of a bend in my extended leg, as I don't want to lock it out, because that can hurt the knee. You don't want any kind of pain happening in this warm-up. If you have pain, I suggest finding a teacher who can work with you one-on-one, or modifying the movement so that it does not cause pain. That can be slowing it down, making it smaller, whatever you need to do. So step, touch in front, step, touch in front. Do a few of those. And then we'll do step to the side, step to the side, and we'll do back. And for back, you'll notice I lean forward a little bit, because if I'm upright, we're gonna have a tendency to tilt our hips forward and crunch that low back. So if you can stay upright and not tilt your hips forward and crunch the back, then go for it if that feels good. But I'm gonna lean forward a little bit, as it makes it easier for me to keep my abdominals and torso muscles in that nice stable position, and for me to keep my pelvis in that nice neutral position. So when I'm doing the step touches to the back, I'm leaning forward a little bit. I think it helps. So step, touch, step, touch, step, touch. And you can kind of have a little bounce in your knees when you're doing these step touches. You're not trying to isolate anything really yet. Just keeping that torso nice and stable so that you can maintain your balance. And then we're going to do step touches and then step touch with a twist. So I'm just twisting the upper half of my body over the lower half of my body. It's important to move through different planes of motion. And then we'll touch the side and twist. Now to the back, I'm not gonna really twist, because it just doesn't feel as stable back here. So I'm just going to wave my arms in a pretty way. All right, and then after the step touches, we're going to do a salsa step, which I call salsa step because I got it from salsa, which is like this or here. But we're gonna do forward, side, back, twist. So the forward salsa step looks like step forward, back, in place, hold, forward, back, together, hold. So the count would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And side, 2, 3, hold. 2, 3, hold. And then back, step, touch, or step together, hold. Back, step, together, hold. And the twist, and you might let your pelvis move a little bit forward back with the twist, just for like a nice pretty little accent, because we're going to twist to the back. So we're going to twist, step in place, together, hold, step in place, together, hold. And for all of these salsa movements, try to keep your torso and especially abdominal muscles engaged so they're on, but don't keep them so stiff that your hips can't move. Because what makes these salsa steps look pretty is when the hips are just kind of moving with it. And we're not going to have any specific movements for the salsa step right now. It may show up in other belly dance combinations with more specific hip work, but it's just whatever feels natural. You can kind of let your hands and arms do what feels pretty too. So this is a little bit of a chance for your own flavor. And then we're going to do a different kind of step touch, or step out to the side and touch, out to the side and touch. We're going to do a couple of those. And then, move a little over this way, we're going to go step, together, step, touch, step, together, step, touch, step, together, step, touch, step, together, step, touch. And then, if you are feeling comfortable, you can turn this into a turn. It's called a 3-point turn. I'll show you what it looks like. So it's step, together, step, touch, step, together, step, touch. Now, if you feel any torque or pain in the knees, the ankles, the hips, anywhere, go ahead and just keep doing step, together, step, touch, step, together, step, touch. That is also beneficial. Now, if you're going to turn, make sure that when you step out, you are turning that leg out as you step, and then this leg turns in as you step around. And then your feet are going to turn a little bit on the carpet or on the floor. Maybe you don't have carpet. Maybe you have a nice wood floor. So turn out, turn in, and then the feet are going to turn a little bit on the ground. Step out, together. Turn out. And this is where it's really important to remember that, like, squeeze that soccer ball into a football. Engage all those torso muscles. Keep your balance. Turn the leg in, out, together. And then we're going to do some simpler stuff. I'm going to adjust the camera so you can see more of my torso. Oh, it's a little too high. Okay. So then we're going to do what I'm calling standing cat-cows. So if you've ever been in yoga, you've been on your hands and knees and you've done the back arching both ways. It's basically the same thing. We're just going to do it standing. So if you want to, you can always get on your hands and knees for this one if that feels nice, but I find that when I do that, I have to put padding under my knees and there's a lot more body mechanics to worry about with that. Well, not worry, but to think about. So you can put your hands on your thighs if you want, but just kind of lean forward a little bit in that nice neutral alignment with everything engaged. And again, keep everything turned on, but don't keep it stiff, because we're going to arch and contract and arch, contract. We'll do that a few times, and try to do it along the entire spine, from where the spine meets the skull all the way down to the sacrum in the back. So distribute that curve along the entire length of the spine. And then we'll just do some reaching. So you're gonna bend the same side as you're gonna reach up, and you're gonna let your rib cage tilt, as well as your hips. Your hips are gonna tilt by bending that knee. And then reverse. And make sure in this pose, it can be really tempting to let the ribs flare up and out. Make sure they're nice and in. Make sure your pelvis is still in a nice neutral. We're just letting things tilt to the sides. And then we're gonna go ahead and get into a horse stance, which, turn the camera this way again a little bit. So it's maybe called second position in ballet. And your feet are out enough that when you bend your knees are over your feet, directly over them, over your heels, that's what I mean, knees over heels. And the knees are gonna want to come in, don't let them, keep them over those heels, because if they start to drift inward, that puts them in a really precarious position. So keep them nice and strong and out this way. You can come as far down as here, but don't come farther, because that may start to put strain on the kneecap this way. And you don't have to be that low. I can't hold that low for very long. And then you also want to look for, in this pose, there's going to be a tendency to want to dump forward with your pelvis, so go ahead and keep that in a nice neutral position too. And what we're doing in that horse stance, I'll come down here so you can see the arms. So you'll be in horse, and the arms are going to be out to the sides, relatively straight. Make sure that your shoulders feel nice and stable, like your humerus, which is your upper arm bone, is nice and in that socket. And you're going to pulse forward. So it's just a little pulse. The whole arm is pulsing. And then back, down, up, and then we're going to circle one direction, little circles, tiny circles, and the other direction. And that's just to get the shoulder sockets nice and warm, so we're doing a lot with those. And then just a couple more exercises. So we just did that with the shoulders. So now we're gonna do a little, maybe you've seen it before, more of a normal shoulder warm up. We're gonna roll one shoulder forward, the other shoulder a few times. And then you're gonna bring the elbow forward a few times. Go really slow here if you need to. I've injured my shoulders a couple of times, so I'm gonna be going pretty slow because there's a lot of clinking and grinding in there if I tense up or if I go too fast. Also, for all of these, feel free to let your chest move with your shoulders as much as it needs to in order to prevent pain and discomfort with clicking and grinding and clunking in the shoulder joints. So elbows. And then we'll do arms. Sort of looks like you're swimming. And notice how like my upper body does twist to the side a little bit here, so that it's not all coming from the shoulders. And everybody's range of motion is different. Your swimming may happen here, and somebody else's may happen here. And that might be because they're moving their chest and torso more, or it might just be that their shoulder joint is more open. So then shoulders back, elbows back, and arms back. And then the last move we're gonna do, I'm actually gonna get on the floor and demonstrate the lower body part for you. So, I don't know if you ever were in a kid's class where you did popcorn legs, but go ahead and sit. Make sure you're sitting on your sits bones on the ground here, good posture, and keep the feet flexed as if the ground is right here. Your feet are on the ground. And then you're going to popcorn your knees. So just alternate them, bending and straightening. And this is a shimmy. I find it helpful when first starting a shimmy to try it on the ground first. You may not need that step, but this is what a shimmy looks like when you put it on the ground. And this is nice because the ground is going to keep you from really locking your knees out easily, because you want to make sure that when you're shimmying, your knee is coming from bent to mostly straight. Bent to mostly straight. You do not want to lock it out this way because that can cause knee pain. You want to avoid knee pain. That's what a one-legged shimmy looks like on the ground. Like I'm shaking my leg out to dry off. So we're not going to get on the floor in the warm-up, but that's just a good thing for you to maybe practice before the warm-up to get the shimmy in your body. So our last move in the warm-up is just shimmy. Do exactly what you did on the ground, only standing up. Make sure you've got all those posture points checked off. And then we're going to do what Tamalyn Dallal calls sunrise arms a few times, and sunset arms a few times. And I know this video is a little long. You can always just jump right into the warm-up if you want to, especially now that you've watched this. So I'll see you in the warm-up.